Hi guys, this is Derek from Pacific Coast Auto here in Japan. We're taking a look at a 1986 Toyota AE86 Sprinter Trueno, or Trueno as the Japanese call it, with my terrible Canadian accent. And so we're going to take a look at the vehicle. This is a post-purchase inspection. The vehicle was bought from auction. This one's going over to Europe, where most of the 86s go. Now Japan has a ton of 86s, lots of them, but they don't get exported that often except for to Ireland and some other places in Europe, which is a little bit weird because you would think that more of them would be going to the States. And part of the reason for that is because they tend to be extremely expensive these days. So I'll get into that in a little bit more detail later. But somebody mentioned in the comments that I should be saying the prices of these. We don't say the price of the cars because this is a customer's car that has already been purchased. It's not for sale, and this is a privacy thing. But I will say average prices for these. And so an 86, no matter the model, they do come in autos or manual, but most of them are manuals. So manual 86 in fair condition will go for anywhere between 500,000 yen and about 1.4 million yen. Which comes close to the original price actually on the top end. Now you can get them for more money than that or less money than that, but that represents the 80% of all of them that are sold. This one here, kind of on the lower end, has been modified for racing, and so let's take a look and see what we got. So the mileage on this one is really low for an 86. 181,833 kilometers is low for an 86. And the reason for that is because everybody loves driving these and you can't help but drive them. And so if you own one, you're going to be putting on high mileage usually, unless you have a car that you like driving better. But the 86 is a little bit weird. It tends to be more fun to drive than you would think that it is, even when the condition is not so good. Okay, so this is 5-speed manual transmission version, but it has been swapped from an original automatic transmission version. Funny thing, the autos are really rare cars actually, but here in Japan they did sell them. I don't think that they did in the US or Canada where I come from. And so we have the standard 4AGE engine. I believe this would be a blue top. I don't think that it has been swapped, but the valve covers have been painted orange. We have aftermarket K&N air filter here, aftermarket exhaust header, which in Japanese is called octopus legs. Really, it's takowashi, which means octopus feet or octopus legs. Strut tower bar with adjustable pillow mounts and adjustable suspension. And the owner of this decided to slam it way down. And so the car probably doesn't perform very well when it's this low. I would assume that bumping it up to regular height, putting a little bit wider wheels on there, and you're going to get a better performance. But then again, what do I know? This car was almost certainly raced because it has a roll cage in it, and interior has been ripped out. Okay, so it's been in an accident. There's some damage to the front end. We do have a bit of alignment issues. It's hard to tell exactly where, but this front fender here is probably misaligned because it touches the door here, and there's a gap here. Okay. So engine running condition seems to be really good. These are super reliable engines that will last you near forever, and that's one of the great things about this car. This one has AC, and the AC actually works, which is a wonder, because a lot of the 86s it doesn't. And then this one has power steering, but the power steering doesn't work on this one. It makes a giraffe is dying sound, and then it doesn't work that well. Okay, I'm going to close the hood here. I'm going to turn off the engine simply. I don't know, maybe I'll leave it running. Come on, fiberglass hood. Yeah, so basically it's got a fiberglass hood, and fiberglass hoods are funny. They sometimes misalign themselves because they warp in something, but you can see the gap here. Almost certainly this is accident damage. And when this one was bought from auction, obviously that would have been known because it's an auction grade R, which is for a car that has been rebuilt post-accident. Okay. So before I turn the engine off, just want to show you these headlights, aftermarket beams in there. We do have a rule, if it has retractable headlights, we have to put them up for the videos, just because retractable headlights are a turbo thumbs up. And then there's supposed to be a plastic shroud in here, but it has been removed on both headlights. That's why you can see the exposed bolts there. You normally wouldn't be able to. Okay, so let's head inside the car. I'm going to turn the engine off. And turn the lights down. And yes, those retractable headlights work appropriately. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the condition report, and this one is quite a bit longer than most reports. You can see this paper is completely full with Japanese writing, and I'm going to translate that into English for you now. It's going to take roughly about 2.5–3 minutes because there's so many comments here. So 1986 Sprinter Trueno, Trueno, if you were wondering about the pronunciation. Okay, 1600cc engine. The seller doesn't know which grade it is, like GT or GT Apex or whatever. He called it an Apex S, and that model doesn't exist, so yeah. Auction grade R with an interior D, 181, 833 kilometers, 5-speed AC, Greddy adjustable suspension. Now I am curious about this because adjustable suspension doesn't work on the rear of an 86 because it doesn't have the coil around. Yeah, so there we have it. The rear can be adjustable at the tops, but it's not a coil over in the back. Trying to peek in there. Anyways, at least that will be on the front. Obviously it is super low on the back too, so I assume it's full adjustable, just not coilovers in the back there. Okay, aftermarket diff, and yeah, aftermarket diff is a funny thing. If you're drifting, you want a full mechanical diff that locks 100%, either 0 or 100. You don't want anything that slips, and this has one of those. So this is going to be great for drifting, great for racing, not so good on the street, because when you drive in a parking lot, especially a car that can turn as tightly as the AE86 can, it goes gung, 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 gung when you're turning. So it's a little bit annoying for a street car, but that's the way that the diff is designed, and so don't assume that it's broken when it drives like that. Okay, it says model AE86 FCPVF, and so that's if you want to know exactly which model it is, and you're fluent in AE86 chassis codes, then you can figure that out. Front accident repaired, original automatic changed to a 5-speed, 7-point roll cage in it. Has a copy of some history papers inside the car. Comes with tower bar and several other modifications, so see in person for details. Grade of the car is not known, and has lots of parts removed and lots of aftermarket parts, so if you want to know, you have to check yourself. Okay, so here's the report. Interior liner, some parts are missing, and holes from modifications. Interior is dirty, wear, and scratched. Dashboard is cracked, like so many other 86s. Wheels scratched. Underside surface rust, scratched and dented. Now, this car is funny because it is rusty, but as far as regular 86s go, this one is far less rusty than a lot of them. So keep that in mind when I show you the body rust on it. Okay, so rear diff has oil leak in it. Here's the accident damage, all of this section here. Front cross member, right and left front side members are dented and bent. Left front inner panel dented, left front pillar dented. This one here is the left front pillar. Pillar damage is a little bit weird. You can see the door is closer together here than it is up here. Okay. And then exterior has paint wave and uneven paint. It's not the original gray color. This color of gray was never available in Japan. They had a similar gray to this. Let me just pull it back again. They had a similar gray to this in the US, but it was a two-tone. And then they had kind of a bluish gray too, or two-tone blue and gray. Colors in the US didn't match the same colors as what was available here in Japan for some reason. Various scratches, dents. Front bumper is like pushed up. And, oh shoot, what does that say? I can't read it. Gonna have to check the translation of that one because I can't read that one because my Japanese is not cool enough for that. Anyway, scuff on the front bumper and large scratch, medium dent here and scratch, paint cracks on the hood and a rust hole. Here's the rust hole here. It's in the cowl piece, but here's the thing about the 86. This piece here can come off, and it's really not that hard to find them compared to some pieces. You just unbolt it. It's like 4 bolts along there, and just take it out and put a new one in. And so as far as rust on the car goes, that one's not so bad. Okay, let's see. Corrosion here and misaligned section there. Big corrosion here, medium corrosion here, and scratches on the back bumper. Okay, Now it is getting a little bit late, so we're a little bit dark in this video, so sorry about that. We had some people comment and say, why don't you change the exposure of the ISO on your camera? Unfortunately, this camera says, no, Derek, I don't know how to do that. And so can't do it while it's running, which is funny because it's generally a really good camera for video, other than the anti-stabilization or IS. Makes it look a little bit jello-y sometimes. Okay, so the car from afar has a really good look to it. It actually doesn't have any dents anywhere on the body or scratches, but it does have rust coming through in several places. I think the paint color looks great. These aftermarket spoilers are a really good addition to the car, and I like how on the back here, the tail lights are the late model ones that usually have a red stripe at the top. It was painted body color, and I think that's a really good look. The car's too low, like I already said. Kind of stupid looking. Especially these tires are a 175, which is a ridiculously narrow tire. That's the same as these cars originally came in the non-performance version. And so kind of weird to go with a 175. But it keeps the price down, I guess. Super foggy lenses there, and then some cracks in these ones. Some fine cracks. And then the pop-up headlights, this part here is usually kind of like a burgundy-ish color. They painted them gray, and I think that that's a really good look, having the gray there. Okay, that's original front bumper. And yeah, it's cool looking. It's got some paint fade here and there, but cool looking car. Now for problems, obviously there's the misalignment issue there. There's a dent and some scratches where the fender touches, and a little bit of rust. And then there's more details about all this damage in the pictures that go along with the report. Here's the corrosion that they were talking about on the door here. You can see it's bubbling up from underneath. The big corrosion on the back is actually corrosion that was underneath the place that has been repaired, and so the body filler, the paint cracks off. You can see the body filler, grind that down, and there will be rust underneath there. Missing a chip there, and then the same thing back here with the rust comes through the body filler. And so probably somewhere around 8 years ago it got restored, and restorations never last as long, and so need to be redone over and over again. Okay, so got some cracks in the back like the auction sheet says. Rear wiper has been removed, that's what usually goes there. And then this is obviously an aftermarket part. I love how there's a hole in there for the key cylinder for opening the back. And when I had an 86, I always wanted a spoiler like this. I still like the spoiler, but I think that the clean non-spoiler look on the back end is also really good too. Okay, and it has the early model side skirt. So these are the stock side skirt. They didn't sell these past 1985, I think, in the US. I think so. Oh, it's funny learning about car things 20 years ago and then trying to remember. These 86s always make that sound. That's not actually the door touching something. It's a common sound for an 86, and it comes from this hinge area. You can just grease it up. Okay, so door cards are late model units. Late model is 86, 87, and seats are late model. This one has the power windows, which I don't believe the US ever got. And the speaker holes cut in them, which is a shame because the door cards are otherwise really good. You could put a speaker there and cover that up, and then you can be happy with that. So not really that big of a problem. Love these seats, but it's so hard to find any that are not extremely damaged. And these ones are maybe the best condition ones that I have seen. Now usually there are aftermarket seats in the 86. There's a good chance that the person who owned this had an aftermarket seat in it and then just had this in their garage, and that's why it's in such good condition. Usually this part here heavily cracks and the seat rips at the base a lot. This one, pretty good, and has the coolest part, lumbar support with air pumps style 1980s, wearing high tops with the psss, and yeah, it's good. Okay, steering wheel has a lot of damage. Horn has been taken off, so if you want to honk the horn, you have to. It doesn't actually work when the car's off, but You can honk the horn that way if you want. Okay, has gauges, and where's my finger? There it is, Evo 4. Yes, dashboard cracks there, and 2 up here. Gauge panel seems to be okay. Surrounding pieces seem to be okay. Original shift knob, sans leather. Okay, now missing the carpet in here. All around, missing the carpet. Open this up. Here's a funny thing. This color of rear seats was only made up until 85, and so these are not the original seats that came in the car. Side pieces have been taken off for lightweightness and for extra noise when you're driving. And yeah, this is going to be a noisy car. That exhaust is loud. And the 86 is generally just a noisy car. If you take out any of the carpeting, you're making it noisier. Okay, open up the trunk here. It has trunk dampers that are saggy, and so it'll come down on your head if you're not careful. Okay, extra shag carpet. And Rakuten Eagles carpet. Pretty common for these to rip because they're exposed to the sun right through the back hatch. And so you can be Rakuten Eagles, and then your friends won't think that you have a ripped seat. Now there's a surprisingly little amount of rust in the bottom here. Underneath the tire, I got a picture of it. There's a little strip of surface rust, but it hasn't eaten through. Compared to the average 86, not very much. And then no rust up along the sills, along the top, along the bottom, and none on the underside of the hatch. Now usually they're really, really rusty with the original metal hatches. That's why you see so many of the non-metal hatches, like an FRP or a fiberglass hatch with a Lexan window is pretty common. This one's got the glass. Okay, and so basically that is everything for this 86. Usually these videos are about 10 to 12 minutes long. This one we got up to 17 minutes because when I see an 86, I can't help but talk about it too much. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video of the 86, and if you have any questions, go ahead and post them in the comment section. Check out our website, all of that business. I'm working on a new website. It's a secret right now. Don't tell anybody, but I'm working on it in the background because my current website is like 2008. Okay, so that's going to be it. See you again next time. Bye-bye.